for the Nighttime Show. I am your host, Stephen Kramer Glickman, and with us always is our head writer and producer, Matt Walker. Today, we are blessed to be in the home of our guest today, Oscar winner and star of Code Black, one of my favorite actresses in the world, and one of the most incredible women I've ever met. Ladies and gentlemen, Marcia Gay Harden! Yeah! We're doing it!
Yeah, here we are, Steve.
We've done it. We're here. Yeah. It's wonderful.
How
are you? How are you
this
today?
home is incredible, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, your home is so gorgeous.
Is Steven's, I can take him off?
Yeah, you can take him off if you want.
So now he says I can take my... But
sure.
you made a big deal about putting him on.
All right, you want to keep him on? We'll keep him on.
Okay, but
all right,
if
fine.
it sounds dorky, I'll take him off. We're not talking clothing, people.
Yes.
We're talking
Headphones.
Take it off. Your home is so gorgeous. I mean, literally, it's like a Pinterest dream. Like every single
yeah, it's kind of
corner.
Pinteresty,
It
right?
really is.
Yeah.
Like
it's
the
not grand,
tile
just so
work.
people get the right idea. It's not like fancy schmancy.
But
right?
it's so cool. Like every single thing is like stylized in some way. Even like the doorknobs, the light fixtures, everything. Like just the corner, the crown molding, everything is really pretty.
Yeah,
it's a beautiful place.
You know what's cool is it's a lot of wood.
Yeah.
So like you go into places that don't have real materials, and unless it's a super great modern design, like, solar, this, that, and another, and green, modern, great angles, it's a little irritating because it feels kitschy at times, or it can feel cookie cutter. So this one was older, but there's a lot of wood, but it's not just any wood. It's like Tibetan doorway
it's so
wood.
cool.
Yeah.
Your front door is gorgeous
really
too.
cool.
We both like stopped and had to like take it in. Like it's very cool.
Yeah.
And your backyard's really neat. You have a beautiful pool, and you have a pizza oven in the back.
Come on, a pizza oven.
A pizza oven?
By the way, because when I haven't been here long, I've been here for 2 years. So when I first came, I was like, immediately, got to use a pizza oven. So I threw a party for my kids. Mm-hmm. Well, actually, I was just using the pizza oven for warmth. And the trees caught on fire.
What? Oh, my God.
I didn't know what I was doing. I was like, it's a pizza oven. You just load it up with wood and go. And it was really nice and warm. And I'm like, shit, all those leaves up there are crumbling black. And right now, because of the drought, when the drought was bad, I don't think I would have been allowed to do it. But now I can again because it's damp.
Oh, it's gorgeous. And you have like a cool little guest house, and you've got up top, there's like a ping pong. You got ping pong area.
I'm a domestic Polly. I'm pretty much a domestic. Like literally, I think I'm married to my crock pot.
Have you always been that way, or has there been like when you, because you lived in New York for a long time? What were you like? Like what was your home life?
I swear to God,
similar?
the same. 5th floor walk up in the West Village. But my little area, the beds are always made. That's pretty much like what my mother taught me. The beds are always made. But it was a cool 5th floor walk up. I mean, down in the village, you climb out on the fire escape, you climb up to the roof, and you look at the stars, and you duck. There was this like guy who, this is a horrible story, but this guy used to live across from us. So your backyard, and then there's like their backyard, and then the back of their building, right? So that's how it's set up in New York for people who don't know. And his window was like, this guy's window was like exactly across from mine, but off to the right. So you didn't think that he could sort of see my windows. And he used to sit up there and masturbate, I'm telling you, for
oh my.
Stephen, hours.
Hours?
He had a drafting chair.
That was the XXX parody of Rear Window.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I'm domestic Polly in my house, and then across the way from me is this like guy, and he would crank his drafting chair up to make sure that his knees were above the sill so everybody could see everything.
Are you kidding me?
Hours.
Oh no!
And I didn't realize. Like at first, I was like, "What is this guy like? Is always sitting in his window?" And I think he's naked. I don't want to look. And then after a while, like the day I realized it, I looked out my window like, fuck, he's doing that, and he can see that it's me, or he's doing it either for me or for somebody just further down the way. So I dropped to the floor, and I turned all the lights out in my apartment, which of course he could see.
Yeah.
And I crawl over to the edge and peer over and duck down. And what happened was the dude knew my schedule from Angels in America. So he knew when I would get home. He knew when I would get ready to go to the theater. He knew when I would come home from the theater, and he would be there waiting in full display. Yeah, like window dressing.
Oh my God.
That's so creepy.
Did you yell at him from across the street and just like, finish already? I gotta go to bed.
Hurry up! Anything I can do to help? Let's just get it done.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I know.
That's terrible. That's terrifying.
Well, it's weird because I talked to a therapist about it, and they were like, he doesn't sound dangerous. It sounds like that's his peevish sort of, what is the thing with the P? Proclivity, not proclivity.
Perverted?
Perverted, yes, thank you. Not peevish.
Perversion.
That's his perversion.
Got
his
it.
peevish perversion on some level.
Sure,
and his proclivity. But yeah, that was the thing he liked to do. So she didn't think he was dangerous. He wasn't like a raper or a stalker. He was a exhibitionist.
Wow.
I know.
That is so bizarre.
I know. It's creepy, right?
Yeah, New York is such a
Many
strange
more
place.
in the world than we think of just like to kind of hang out and do things to see what anonymous people would get a rise out of it, so to speak. Forgive the pun.
Oh my God.
I know.
I remember one time I was living in New York and a guy ran down the street with his dick out, and he was jerking off and running down the street towards me and a bunch of other people. And
look, I missed my
no
cab.
one, yeah,
I had
no one on the street flinched.
No,
everyone
no.
was like, "No,
Yeah,
there's
okay,
Greg."
whatever. There he
Yeah,
is.
like, no one cared.
But that requires incredible skill. It's sort
To
of
run
a prime
and jerk off at the
athlete,
same
I would
time.
think.
that sounds hard.
Yeah, I can't
My last little thing was I was on a subway once, and I was just watching this guy, and I thought, oh, that's a big umbrella. It was not. It was
Not an umbrella?
An umbrella. You're just like, and everyone's just on the subway, just going on about their day.
Oh my!
Yeah.
So he was
God.
not circumcised.
Well, apparently,
Oh no!
ding ding. That was the best.
Horrifying.
But it's funny what you get used to, and of course, for anybody who hasn't been to New York, that's what they think it is all the time, because of course those are the crazy stories we tell.
Right.
But it's really a wonderful, pretty friendly place. You just have to get used to. Like, did you ever go down to the West Village to Murray's Cheese Shop? Did you know Murray's Cheese in the West Village?
I don't know.
He
that
was
place.
great. He was this old butcher and cheese guy, and I'd occasionally go in there for coffee. When I first moved there, he'd be like, "You want coffee?" And I think, "Why are you yelling at me? What did I do?" But then you realize that's just the way they're talking. They're just like direct. You want coffee or not? And you say, "Yeah, I want coffee." And pretty soon, I came to love it.
That's you were living there before they Disney came in and turned Times Square into mini Disneyland, because I went there in 1996, maybe 6, and I remember being like, oh, this is kind of a dangerous place. Like Times Square was like kind of a dangerous place, and then suddenly it was like, just Broadway. It was
it was more like 9th and 10th Avenue that to me seemed dangerous. And 8th around Penn Station seemed a little bit sketch. But it was a weird thing when that happened with Disney, because there's a whole bunch of people who hated it. They hated the Disney theater. They hated the Lion King. They hated that they were getting rid of all like the porn shops and the whatever jerk off places.
Your neighbor across the way.
Yeah, my neighbor. Yeah,
really hated it.
Yeah, he was very upset.
Hipsters hated it. Or people who who don't want things to be gentrified. But then I'm thinking, but dude, it brought so much good commerce to the city, and those cockroaches will find their spot. I'm sorry. I'm not worried. I'm not so worried about them. So I was kind of on the, again, polydomestic. I was on the side of people like, well, I can see the good in it. It brought a lot more theater and opportunity. And I think the tourism in New York is fantastic now.
Yeah, it is. And the shows that are happening on Broadway right now are incredible. The last time I was there, it was, I think Glass Menagerie was back on Broadway with Darren. I think it was Darren Criss or someone like that. It was a great. The cast.
I know Brian Smith was in Glass. I think Glass Menagerie, but I don't know if he was the lead. I just flew my son. We went up to see Ben Platt before he left Evan Hansen.
How was that?
Come on. It was
amazing.
It was amazing because my son's all into musical theater. So I was like, what can I do that'll be really special for him? He really wants to see Ben Platt. So we had a mother-son weekend, and it was so cool.
Wow.
Yeah, we went up. We saw Ben. We had lunch in Soho, and we spent the weekend there and came back. Yeah.
Matt and me were just talking on the drive here about South Pacific, because we were talking about musicals and Oklahoma and things like that. And I'm a big musical theater nerd. Like, did you do any musicals when you were in New York, or did you? No, you stayed away from it.
First of all, I like those old musicals, but I didn't like them. The musicals are really different these days, I think.
Yeah,
Evan
sure.
Hansen is different. Come From Away is different. Bands Visit. There's something just more relaxed and accessible. Now, I liked those, but first of all, I can't sing, which I can't sing. So I can't hold a friggin' no. So you wouldn't want me in a musical. I had to take singing class when I was in acting school, and it was the joke of the class that people would skip class because when I would sing, it would make me cry because it's so emotional, and also because I sound like shit. So
Oh my God.
I would had to sing. My teacher made me sing from The King and I have dreamed that your arms are lovely, but I wasn't allowed to sing it like I have dreamed. I had to sing it like I have dreamed. I was like, I'm not singing on there. That's not me. So I wasn't really a huge musical theater fan, but I am now more than I ever used to be.
Were you a drama? I mean, you're a
Drama.
drama. Are you a drama fan?
Yeah, drama.
Of
Drama.
dramas. Where did you grow up? Let's start there.
Well, Dad was in the Navy, so we were. Is that?
We're fine.
It's
There's some
the
meat over
jackhammer.
people jackhammering in the backyard.
Yeah. My dad was in the Navy, so we kind of grew up all over. But I started in California, then we were stationed in Japan for a while. Then just the trajectory is I went to school. We came back to Texas, then Maryland, and Virginia, and Washington D.C. And you move like once a year.
Where in California were you born?
Well, I was born in La Jolla.
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
At Scripps Memorial.
Oh,
No
yeah.
way.
Yeah. Yeah,
Wow,
yeah.
That's where I grew up. Was down south.
Oh, yeah.
In Encinitas
Okay.
area, Carlsbad area.
Yeah, I don't know anything about it other than that I fell off a bed and had to go to the hospital down there in my later years during God of Carnage. But it's beautiful, and we lived in Long Beach near Disneyland, and then just a really. Are either of you know anything about military life? You move every
I know.
It's like every couple of years you're
Yeah.
picking up and moving. Yeah.
every couple of years. So that's kind of what we did. So there were 5 kids in our family, so we were sort of our own neighborhood.
Yeah.
Japan was amazing, fantastic. It changed me to be a young kid and go overseas and realize that on basic level, we're the same, but we're different, and that America's not the only game in town. I mean, and I think the first thing you see is what's different about you, but then you see we saw the Coca-Cola sign, and that made me feel great.
Yeah.
But they have like the benjo ditches. I mean, even the way they went to the bathroom
Yeah.
was different. Because not in these days. They have the toilets that massage you, right?
Yeah.
Right.
But
Yeah.
in my day when I was
You
there,
just squat.
you squatted on
Yeah.
these little cement things where you put your feet, and that's what you did, like black holes in the ground. And the sewage went out into the street, untreated.
Oh, wow.
So,
Whoa.
Yeah, I was just
Wow.
in China, and I made sure, whenever we go somewhere, do you have Western toilets or do you have traditional toilets? And they'd tell you, and you're like, all right, I'm going to go next door.
are the traditional also the same?
Yeah, it's just like you
having-
squat. It's like a hole in the ground and you squat over it, and that's sort of what it is.
There's
Yeah.
like some paltry treatment system in the building system, but then when it goes out to the street, it's like barely treated. So it's at the
Whoa.
time it was not pretty. It didn't smell good. I mean, it was beautiful, but it didn't. Now it's completely different.
Wow. Oh my God. So how did you get into?
I'm fully in favor of gentrifying all the toilets around the world.
Yes.
I know, right?
Gentrify the toilets.
I will lead. Let's lead that hashtag.
Clearly, you're no campers here at this table, right?
No. One time I went camping with my aunt and uncle in a parking lot in
I don't think that counts.
Yeah, in Orange
I know,
County.
Does it in a trailer?
In Orange
Yeah.
County, there's no camping in Orange County.
No, we were on the beach in some parking lot in Orange County, and
In an RV.
In an RV.
Yeah.
We went RV camping. Anyway, and I've driven across country with my mom in her RV a few times, and that's a lot of fun.
I friggin' love that.
Such a good time.
When I was doing God of Carnage, Jeff Daniels is a big RVer. And he would say, do it, Marcia, do it. And I had just gotten divorced. And I was like, I need to do something on my own. And I can do it. I'm going to take the kids RVing. And James Gandolfini would say, are you out of your fucking mind? And he said, there's crazy people out there in the RVs, Marcia. You got to take a bodyguard. I'm like, James, I don't want to take someone who could drive the car for you. I'm like, James, I'm not going to get a bodyguard because then I have to figure out where the bodyguard's going to sleep. I don't want him snoring in the front seat. I want it to be family time. He's like, yeah, no, there's crazy people. So Jeff convinced me to do it. And I figured if there's a bunch of fat people in their 80s from Wisconsin can do it, so can I.
Yeah. Totally.
So I rented an RV and I took the kids to the Southwest and back, and then a couple times, we went to like Sedona and other Yosemite, not in the RV, and then the RV to Sedona and other places. So beautiful. Have to hook up the little poopy thing by yourself. This entire thing is about poop, and that's all we're talking about is below the belt.
I know. My God.
Right?
I'm so sorry.
By the way, this all sounds like the setup for a great movie. Like this is the setup, and then something bad happens.
It's true.
It's the payoff.
It was actually really, really cool doing it. But then I started doing it in my life. Like, okay, if I had to take the kids to camp and I was in New York, I'd rent an RV from my place in New York and take them up to camp. And it was just really cool. But then we were coming back once visiting my ex-dad, and we were like, God, it's late. What do we do? And, any place in America, you can spend the night at a Walmart if you're in an RV, and you don't have to pay for it, right?
100%.
So the kids were like, Mom, let's do the Walmart just to do it. And I was like, dudes, we're not going to spend the night in a Walmart in the RV. And they're like, come on, Mom, why not? So we're in rural Rochester area, New York, and we found a local Walmart, and we pulled in, and we went inside the Walmart and bought everything you could, and came out, and the kids found those wheelchairs, for like handicapped people.
That you drive around.
Go shopping in.
Yeah.
And they had roller derby in the parking lot. It was like the best. It was so good.
So much fun.
It was really good.
That's a really good time.
I know there was like the guard who would come over and like, you Marcia Gay Harden? I was like, yes, I am. He goes, let me get a picture of you. Me and my wife, we're going to look at that picture. It was on. They loved it.
Wow.
In the Walmart.
Oh my God. Wow. That's amazing. Hey, I know we got a lot of artists and a lot of musicians that listen to the Nighttime Show and have been on the Nighttime Show, but I'll tell you what a lot of them are missing. They're missing merch, okay? And it is very easy to have an amazing merch store with Artist Shops by Threadless. Just add your art to hundreds of clothing, accessories, and home decor items in just minutes. Plus, it's fully customizable so you can make your shop totally unique to your style. But the best part is, here's the best part, it's 100% free to sign up. 0 minimums, 0 monthly fees. You even set your own prices so you can control how much money goes into your pocket. And with millions of dollars paid to artists to date, there is a lot of moolah to be made, okay? Artists, designers, podcasters, free up all the time that you'd be spending at the post office, shipping, dealing with customer service, and put it towards what you love, being creative, okay? Threadless takes care of the rest of it. And with 100,000 shop owners and 4 million users, just join the party. Head to artistshops.com/SKG to sign up right now. That's artistshops.com/SKG to sign up right now. Also, the Nighttime Show partnered with Threadless, so we have something amazing. You need to go check it out. We got mugs, shower curtains, T-shirts, sweaters, anything you can imagine. We have it for sale, Nighttime Show style. Go check it out. It's thenighttimeshow.threadless.com. That's thenighttimeshow.threadless.com, and check out our store with all of our cool stuff. It's so awesome. Let's get back to the show. Now, God of Carnage, you did that show on Broadway, and you won the Tony for that show. But did you also test that show out at La Jolla Playhouse, or where did you guys test that show? Where did that show start?
We did it. No, we didn't test it at all. We just did it on Broadway.
You just did it straight to Broadway.
Yeah, because it had already been in France, and Yasmina Reza had written it and directed it in France. And when she did it in France, it was like 3.5 hours, and it was, very, very serious and very French. And then Matthew Warchus took it, and he's British, and he took it and he did it in England. And he said, no, it's really quite a comedy, isn't it? And so he made it an hour and a half, no intermission, and it was a comedy. And he was like, I must tell you actually, because then he directed us the same way. He was like, I must tell you actually, there are no pauses really, perhaps for the first 20 minutes. I mean, not a pause.
Wow.
You're like, what? One, not a pause, huh? But nobody talks like that. People pause. I said, no, trust me. It's not a pause. And so it was that, it infused it with that nervous energy of when people are just meeting each other and no one wants there to be a pause, because God forbid there's a pause, then, are you terrified of pauses?
I'm very terrified of pauses.
I'm terrified of pauses.
You're terrified of pauses too? I get nervous. I get very nervous. Because it gets quiet.
Because then who's going to say something?
Right, because you have to pick up.
It's like that scene in Pulp Fiction with Travolta and Uma Thurman, and she talks about the pause in the conversation and like how it just like hangs there.
Yeah.
See, all the references, but you're not you're not afraid of pauses, I
No.
think.
No.
I'm okay with making things awkward. It doesn't bother me.
Awkward kills me. I become the dancing seal. So in this moment, it was like we all had to be dancing seals until I think Jeff spoke. Like his character is probably the first one who could take the first pause. So then it's like music. You hear it like music. And if you don't have the you don't hear the pause.
Yeah.
So who was in that original cast with you? That's Jeff Daniels.
Jeff Daniels, Hope, and Hope Davis, and me,
Oh my God.
and Gandolfini.
James Gandolfini, one of the greats.
Yeah, he's so beautiful. He's a really generous, kind, beautiful person.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's incredible. That must have been just such a wonderful experience working on a show like that.
I just remember peeing my pants, laughing in rehearsal. Like, I'm not joking, like peeing the pants. Because we'd be rehearsing, and for a long time, you've got 4 weeks of rehearsal, so a long time is a week, right? But for a long time, Gandolfini was, not really, it's not that he wasn't understanding, he hadn't hit that moment where the frustration of this character trying to be nice, of this brute, the frustration of the brute trying to be nice was where all the comedy was. So he was really trying to be nice, but he wasn't having the frustration. Then one day in the play, his mother calls him, like for the 15th friggin' time, his mother calls him. And when he picks up the phone, he's being nice. But we were falling off the couch. Every time he did it, we just were falling off the couch because it was that aha moment. It was so clear that suddenly he'd been bang, and that's it. And, there's 4 characters in that play. So each one has their own music. Each one is a different corner of the stage. Each one brings something. And when he nailed down his corner, we're done. We couldn't stop laughing.
Oh my
Yeah,
God.
it was good.
That's incredible. What other shows have you done on Broadway besides
Just Angels.
Just Angels in America? Yeah.
Yeah.
Now that
Is that how you got your start? Like, what was your first big role that you got to do?
On Broadway, Angels, yeah.
was Angels.
Wow.
Yeah, I got my start in a really amazingly traditional. Like, I'm so freaking amazingly traditional that I ever got a start is kind of amazing. Like, I know nobody in the business. I knew nobody in the business. Go ahead, Steve.
Well, no, your first IMDb credit, which we always love to test IMDb, and IMDb knows that we test them.
Okay,
Like
yeah.
we've spoken about us testing them.
Testers.
Is that your first credit, and tell us if it's right or wrong, is a short film called Not Only Strangers. That's what it says. Your first credit.
Who does it say directed that one?
That it says was Edward Dimitrick.
Dimitrick. Yeah, Dimitrick. He's a great editor. Was a great editor. Russian guy. Not Only Strangers. But yes. The truth is, I don't remember it at all. I don't remember it at all.
And then it says you were a dancer, uncredited, in the movie Footloose.
They were so wrong. It's Honeysuckle Rose, Willie Nelson's, because I was a groupie for Willie Nelson. I was not a dancer in Footloose. And if I was, I would have asked for residuals.
Wow, really?
Yeah. So you tested them and
Yeah,
you
I'm testing
won.
them. We're winning right now. You want to?
Yeah.
Here's the third one.
Yeah,
Third one
okay.
is The Image Maker. You played the stage manager in the movie The Image Maker.
Yes, with Michael Nuri, maybe?
Michael Nuri, Weiner.
Yeah.
Wiener Weiner?
Wiener Weiner. But the thing is, I don't remember it. I don't remember.
Sure.
Do you remember the first thing you ever did? I thought the first thing I ever did was an industrial, actually, where I was like showing people how to be. It was an industrial, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Where I was showing people how to spot terrorists, and I was a terrorist, and you know how you knew? I had on a black beret.
What? Are you serious? That is amazing.
That's how I got my union cards, right? So if you see anyone in a black beret, beware.
I got my SAG card because I got cast on a TV show on some network.
Is that the football one?
No, it was before that. It was on a show called One on One, and on the show, I got cast to wear
Tia and Tamara.
I think so.
Yeah,
I had to wear a dress. They called me and they said, "Would you be okay to wear a Little Bo Peep costume on TV,
Yeah.
and I said, "I'm already wearing one." And they said, "Great, it's like 2 SAG points or whatever." And I was like, "Oh my God, that's amazing, so cool!" And then I get to the day to go shoot, and they tell me, "Oh, we wrote your part out of the script. You're not in it anymore." But then SAG stepped in, and they were like, "You already signed him up for these 2 days." So I still got paid for 2 days, and I still got my SAG points for
Bo-Peep points.
Yeah.
Those are now going to be called Bo Peep points.
Bo Peep points. Get them Bo Peep points. I love that. That's amazing.
Yeah, I did it. I got my union card with industrials and extra work, and a Woody Allen film, or Oliver Stone was coming to town and doing, I think, Born on the 4th, and you sign up for Central Casting extra work. So that's it. My thought was I need to load my gun, so to speak, before I go to New York. So I went to New York with my equity card and my SAG card, my after card. That's how it seemed to be safe. And when I landed, I would swear to God, I was in an A-line skirt and character shoes. Like that's really, I got off the bus.
Wow.
Because I had gone up there kind of seeing the territory, deciding if I could be there. And I'd been staying, flopping on someone's couch in the East Village. And I responded to a Backstage magazine ad for a play off Broadway, and I got it.
Wow.
Can you imagine?
Oh my God.
Right. So I got it, and then I would go back to DC to do this thing, and then I'd take the plane that night to do the play. It was really kind of wild and crazy when I think about it. But the fact of even being in a play, and then someone came to see the play, Tyrone Power Jr. was in the play.
Wow.
Right? So,
amazing.
And Bader Hauer was in the play, and she was the daughter of Barbara Hauer. And I know Bader now. Anyway, long story short, I got the play. This amazing woman named Mary Ellen Mulcahy came to see the play, and she was at J. Michael Bloom Agency, and she brought agents to see the play. And after the play, I got signed.
Oh my God.
It was crazy.
That's amazing.
It's amazing.
That's
right?
really so uncommon that things like that.
It was
That's
really
incredible.
Or I got like on the signed list. I had to go back and do some summer stock or something before I actually go. But they literally flew down to Olney, Maryland in DC to see me do summer stock theater.
Whoa.
I know. And I was in, you arrive someplace. I'd had this brag sheet of all the work I'd ever done in DC. Everything a critic ever said that was good about me, I had it on a paper, because if a critic said it, my God, it must be true.
Right, of course, of course.
Hire me. And I had this brag sheet, and I remember I took it into this casting director. Okay, I'll tell you that one in a minute. That's actually a good story. I had the brag sheet, and that's kind of how I ended up getting things. When I got off the bus, and you expect you're there. So you're like, where's Scorsese?
Right. Yeah.
Did Spielberg not get the memo?
Right.
Pick me up at the airport.
Town, right?
Oh my God.
And you think maybe at the end of a year you'll be starring. But when teachers say it's 10 years from the time you graduate to the time that you maybe will get your first working role where you make a teeny little bit of money, they're right. It's about 10 years. But there's this one, I think about young people now, and they're like, what can you tell us about young people? And I think there's something so amazing about being a beginner in things, because you don't really know the rules, so you don't really follow the rules, right?
Right, sure.
So that's kind of cool. And it's not arrogant. You just don't really know them. Yeah. And there was this obtuseness about me in the face of blind ambition. Like, why would that be ugly?
Right, yeah.
Why is blind and aggressive ambition ugly? I don't get it.
Right, yeah.
How else are you going to get where you go? So I was living in D.C., and now have my SAG cards, I had my brag sheet, and I got a notice from a friend that this casting director named Mary Lynn Henry, who cast for ABC soap operas, was looking for a character who had dark hair. And I was like, it's me. I have dark hair. And further, they were looking for a character. This character's father was in the Navy. And I was like, my father was in the Navy. This part was written for me. So she just has to meet me. So she was going out to Catholic University in D.C., which I didn't go to Catholic University. I was a waitress in D.C., but I said, her people said she will meet you. After she meets all the Catholic University people, she will meet you. So I got my brag sheet. I got my picture and resume. I jumped in my yellow VW, convertible on a rainy day, and I drove out to Catholic University to meet her. And as I got there, a car was pulling away. I was 4 minutes late.
Oh.
And I ran in, and I was like, "Is Marilyn Henry here?" And they were like, "I'm sorry, she just left." And I'm like, "Oh!" And I burst into immediate tears. I said, "How could she have just left? She's supposed to meet me. I'm Marcia Gay Harden. I have a picture and resume, and I needed to give it to her." And they're like, "Well, we're sorry, she just left." And I said, "Well, where did she go?" And they said, "Well, the airport. She's going back to New York." And I said, "Well, which airport?" And they said, "Well, we can't give you that information, but there's a pretty good chance it's not Dulles." I was like, "National!" So I jump in my VW and I drive through the rain to Stephen is shaking his head right now.
This is just
who can't see.
I'm 100% with you.
I go
this is amazing.
to National Airport and I park my car in the no parking zone because she's probably getting on the way right now. And I race in to People's Express because that was the airplane that I always took. People's Express was like a $20. You could literally get a ticket for $20. You put your own stuff in storage claim, baggage claim. So I go to People's Express and I'm like, can you page Marilyn Henry, please? And they're like, Marilyn Henry. And they look on their roster and they go, "We don't have a Marilyn Henry on this flight." And I said, "It's an emergency. I need to see Marilyn Henry." I'm like, "I'm sorry, we don't have it." I said, "She's on a 1:30 flight." And they're like, "Well, we don't have a 1:30 flight. All the half-hour flights." And then they couldn't say it. I said, What airline?" I go, "Well, the half-hour flights are like, New York Air or something." I was like, "Okay, so can you call over there and see if she's on New York Air?" They're like, "We can't give you that information, but all the half-hour flights are New York Air." I'm like, "Okay." So I ran over to New York Air. And as I get there, they've literally just shut the door on the turnstile. I guess that's what you call it, on the airplane.
Yeah.
They've shut the door on the airplane.
Oh my God.
And I say to the woman, I said, "Hi, this is an emergency. My name is Marcia Gay Harden, and I have to see Marilyn Henry." They opened the door. This is clearly before 9/11. They let me on the front of the plane. I stand in first class, and they say, "Is there a Marilyn Henry on board?" And I'm looking to the back of the plane, to coach where I would sit. And this woman sitting right below me raises her hand and says, "I'm Marilyn Henry." And I said, "Hi, I'm Marcia Gay Harden. And I was supposed to have met you at Catholic University. And I missed you, but this is my picture and resume. And I think I'd be perfect for the part on the soap opera." And she said, "Don't you ever," and like all first class is like watching intently. And she says, "Don't you ever do that again." And everyone suddenly like covers their eyes and they look down and I start to cry. And they're like, I said, "Why?" She goes, "Well, my husband was traveling today and I thought he'd been in an accident and I thought that there was an emergency." I said, "Well, no, it's just me, Marcia." You were dancing and there's no opera. and now first class is like cringing. They're like sliding down in their seats. And she says, "Well," and I hand her my brag sheet and she says, "Well, clearly you're very talented and you want this meeting very much. So if you call my office, I will give you audience on Monday." I said, "Thank you." And I leave, and as I leave, first class is like clapping, and I get off and I go meet her. And I meet her on that following Monday, and she says again, "Clearly you're very talented," but she says, "You don't quite have the face to be in soap opera." And she talked to me about, certain plastic surgeons and things like that I would need to be in soap opera. She was very nice to me, and she was always an incredible fan, and she literally gave me one of the best stories of my entire life
That's amazing.
on her plane, right? I mean, it's so cool.
That's an applause.
It's so cool.
Real applause. If you're at home listening, you applaud to that.
Right.
That is an amazing story.
But who would do that today if you knew the rules?
Well, because also today, if you do that, somebody's shooting it, it's on
that's
YouTube,
true.
and then you have no career after that because then everybody
true.
knows you as the crazy person that
You know
showed up
what?
on the plane.
You can't do that today.
Yeah.
You can't. But the idea even of it, like finding someone in whatever it is, no one would do that. When you know all the rules and you think you have to follow them, there's a great, wonderful, and I miss it. There's a great, wonderful thing about being that innocent.
Yeah, there's
and
that freedom you
eager.
get.
Yeah. I'm going to tell you why I'm the best one for the job. And you start to develop this thing as you get older, like, maybe I'm not. Like this, I call it the friggin' Eeyore complex, right?
Yeah.
Maybe not me, right?
My little sister wrote a book called Limeade, and it's about limelight. She wrote a book called Limelight about having Lyme disease and how because she had Lyme disease, and it was about
That
how
sucks. That's
yeah,
horrible.
she's doing great now. But when she wrote the book, it was about how watching '90s television like saved her life.
Yeah.
Because she watched reruns, and it was the only thing that was the same, while everything else in her life was changing. Right,
yeah.
and so then she had an idea, and she's the only connection to the industry that she had some of her own, but for the most part it was like me
being related
like
to you.
I'm like one of the few people in her life that's in the industry.
Right.
And she was like, I'm gonna go and find a way on her own. She was like, I'm gonna go find a way to get the forward for the book written by stars from the 90s. And so she went on her own.
Gosh.
And
That's a
like
great
reached
idea.
out to all sorts of like actors and people and stuff. And the big one she was trying to get, this is before she came back with the TV show, was Roseanne. She was trying to get Roseanne to write the foreword for the book. And she was adamant on doing this. And so my mom found out that Roseanne was going to be on the Ellen DeGeneres show.
It was Ellen, yeah.
Yeah. So my mom went to CBS Radford with her goats.
No.
And she stood outside of CBS Radford with her goats and a sign saying, Roseanne, come pet my goats and talk to me about my daughter's book, or something like this. And security was like, what is going on here? And I remember just being like, just cringing and being like, oh my dear God. But in a roundabout way, it somehow got the attention of Roseanne. And Roseanne,
it's not very roundabout, honey. It was just your mom standing out there with her goats.
No, in a very hilarious way. It did get her attention, and then Roseanne did write the front quote from my sister's book, and that led to the entire cast of Roseanne writing quotes for it, and all these other wonderful people writing. But it was like every once in a while, my mom will kind of influence, because my mom will call me and be like, well, why can't I just call Steven Spielberg, and I'm like, please don't call Steven Spielberg.
Like your uncle back in the day was like, why don't you just call the Fiddler on the Roof people?
My grandfather used to say, call the Fiddler on the Roof people, tell them you want to be in the show,
and you sing.
Yeah, and I was like, well, I mean, you can't really do that. But then every once in a while, my mom will influence some sort of thing where she'll go, you should do this. And then I'll go, maybe I should try to just call the president of this company for shits and giggles. See what happens.
And what would happen?
And it sometimes it surprises them and blows their mind, and other times they go, please don't call him.
Yeah, please don't.
Like I called Bernard Telsey on the phone and asked if I could.
People don't know who Bernard Telsey is.
Oh, he's a casting director in New York, and I called him and asked if I could join the cast of Once, the musical.
That's genius.
And he said, please don't call for stuff like this. And I was like,
crazy.
And I was like, but I really love the show. And he was like, yeah, I know. We won a Tony Award. Like we don't need.
And Steven, you know how many times you're able to get that guy on the phone?
Once. You son of a bitch, Matt. Oh, Matt. Okay, we got to talk about Angels in America. Mm-hmm. Angels in America, Pulitzer Prize winning. One of the greatest Broadway plays ever. One of the greatest plays ever written. Mm-hmm. Tony Kushner just is a fucking
it's Shakespeare.
Genius.
Like, what is it? The fact that we're living with the Shakespeare.
Yeah.
We have a Shakespeare in our midst.
We do.
And it's Tony Kushner.
He's incredible.
Unbelievable.
I've only had an interaction with him one time, and it was I got to do the staged reading of the Dybbuk, which he wrote at La Jolla Playhouse, when I was like 15 years old.
Wow!
But that's before I knew what Angels in America was, and then I got to do Angels. I got to do like scenes from it when I was.
Wait,
in
how
college.
did you get that job? How did you get to do the Dybbuk?
I was growing up I grew up in San Diego,
and that's not an easy play.
Oh, yeah, no. I mean, I was just a small character in it, but it was for the Barbra Streisand theater festival, and they were testing new works, and that was Tony's new work at the time.
It's a very dark,
very heavy.
Dybbuk, right?
Dybbuk's very, very heavy.
Right.
Yeah, and I just played a rabbinical student. I was I played like all the rabbinical students in it, but
of course,
it was super cool, and he's an incredible writer. And then when I read Angels in America, the first time I read it, I was like, it broke my heart the first time I read it, and then And then of course, immediately when you open the book, it says your name on the first page. It says like original cast. And I just went back and rewatched footage from it because there is footage out there of you doing it.
I always hate theater footage. It's so tinny and horrible, and you're like, really? That's what I was doing?
But it was just a moment in there was like one big moment that I found, and it was the moment where you're talking to one of the characters, and you say, we don't believe in gay people in our church. And then he goes, well, and we don't believe in Mormons in our church, or something like that.
Right.
It was like
that was Steven Spinell's character. Yeah, I think so.
Can you walk us through that process, just a little bit of getting cast and what the process was of doing that?
Angels was, first of all, like when you talk about it, I go, oh, that was one of those few times in life where your sort of mission, in a way, which I never really understood what that meant, but it was like the height of purpose being in that play, because it was all that was going on at the time. AIDS was going on at the time, and I was living in the West Village. So I would have people come up to me and say, you're Marcia Gay Harden, right? I'd say, yep. And they said, well, I just want you to know, I took my parents to see that play, and then I told them that I was dying. Or I took my parents to see that play, and I told them I'm gay. And of course, it's their parents. That meant they're dying. Mm-hmm. And it was so raw, and it was like you've been in a cave for so long, and somebody please turn on a flashlight and help us know that there's an exit. And I think that's what Tony did. It was suddenly the words were illuminative of hope. And that's what he did with Angels. It was a dark political time, and it was a dark physical time for the gay community, who was amazing, because they were showing the rest of the world how to be community and how to bring the price of medicine down. I mean, Eric Sawyer was a real activist for that, bring the price of medicine down. And Tony Kushner giving voice to that. So that was the environment that I walked into, not knowing what Angels in America was, because it had its tryout here with Gordon Davidson at the Mark Taper and a different cast, most of the same cast, but some different cast, before New York. And I had a really dear agent named Brian Reardon who said, I want you to go in and audition for Angels. It's a big deal. I'm like, it's Broadway. They're never going to cast me. And I'll go in. And I hadn't seen it in LA, so I didn't know what it was. And I read the script, and I thought it was stunningly, stunningly beautiful. And I was going through a breakup with a guy who was a born-again Christian, mm-hmm. who hadn't told me that he was born-again Christian when we first got together, because I would have said, well, I'm not. But by the time I knew, I said, well, I'm not. And what the machinations of relationship that we went through, when we could have sex, when we couldn't, and it's like there's nothing sexier than having sex with a nun, right, or a preacher. Like you're not, like, you know what I mean, like you're not supposed to, like whatever, the forbidden fruit, right?
Yeah.
And I feel like I just really don't need Jesus in the bed, I can't say those things that you can say. It doesn't mean I'm not spiritual. It doesn't mean I don't believe in God. It just means I can't say that there's only one way. And so we had this terrible breakup that had religious overtones and sexual overtones to it. And when I went into audition for Tony and George Wolfe, it was as if it was my breakup. So I wasn't concerned with the drugs that the character was on. I was concerned with her emotional pain and what she was going through and how she felt so betrayed. And that's pretty much what I brought to the audition room. Her deep emotional pain. Yeah. And I got the part, and it was stunning that I got the part. And then, first the first one was written, and so we would rehearse it, and we would do it, and we would just put it all together. George Wolfe was very musical, so I don't know if you've ever worked with him, Steve, but he's, he would say things like, okay, Marcia, I want you to come in the door, and I want you to come in like, ba 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 bow. And I'd say, okay, George, I hear you, but I kind of want to come in the door like, ba 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 bow. And he would say, okay, let me see it. And then that might just be the way you walk at the end across the floor, the way you bow, slam the door, if you want to give him that thing. Like, how do you punctuate physically and verbally what the music is that George is singing? Wow. And so that was really, really cool. He would direct like that, and getting to know the guys, David Marshall Grant, Steve Spinella, Joe Mantello. I mean, it was Jeffrey Wright, Ron Liebman, Ellen McLaughlin, Kathy. It was all just Kathy Chalfant. It was amazing. And I felt like I'd got to sit on the bench with the first team.
Jeez.
And really, I felt like amazingly honored. Then we went into rehearsal for Perestroika, which was part 2. So we'd be
because
rehearsing.
it's 7 hours. The entire
thing.
The entire thing is 7 hours. So you did the first show, which was Millennium Approaches.
Yeah.
Right. And then you how much time did you guys have off between that and then Perestroika? Did you guys have?
I think we were rehearsing it while we were performing.
Oh my God.
So we'd be rehearsing during the day and performing that at night, and then we put them up together.
Oh my God! What?
It was great. Yeah.
So people could go and watch like a 7-hour
you could
whole
go
thing.
and watch Millennium on a Wednesday matinee, and then Perestroika that night, and the same on Saturday. You could see them both, and they had this really amazingly complicated schedule. And
my
it was
God.
it was great. People always used to go, "Was that exhausting?" And I think, no, it's 1,000 times more exhausting to be in a boring play, even if it lasts 10 minutes. It's exhausting to be in a boring play and have a boring role.
Because this is work that you actually were really, you could dig your teeth into it.
It feeds you. It just feeds you.
Wow.
And it fed the community. So, you talk about energy exchange, theater and live music and all of that. That's where it's happening. That's why, for stand-up, it's where it's happening. They're blowing energy into your body from the audience, and you're blowing energy back at them. And there's no other place in live shows where that happens. You're literally, when you're talking, you're in their body, your ears and your vibration. So it was just, I felt like it was really infusing for
So
us.
you were not emotionally exhausted. Were you emotionally exhausted from it, or not? Not really.
I don't remember thinking, I can't do another one of these. I remember, at some point you have to learn that it's okay if you don't have real tears. They really can't see them from the third row. But you have to know that what you have to make your body do has to seem that real, and it's still going to hurt you inside the same way. You have to feel hurt. You have to feel those things, and you have to get them to exude the emotion rather than you. You don't want to do all the work for them.
Yeah.
And I think I probably would fault myself in my younger years as doing too much work for the audience, and not allowing them to do it. And now, the older you get, the sillier you get. Now I'm like, let them have the tears. As you just pull back a little bit. But it was really cool. It was like, I'll never forget that opening night on Millennium, when we're walking down the street, I'm in like this red velvet dress, and my agent Brian had come up, and he was sick at the time, and he came up and he hugged me so tight my bra popped, and we ended up laughing, and we were going down the street, and there was a crowd of people around one of those New York Korean markets, but they have all the flowers out front and the newspapers, and they were waiting for the New York Times to come hot off the presses at midnight or whenever it came off. And so they were waiting there. So by the time we're walking down the street, there's a guy standing on a plastic crate, a fruit crate. And there's a crowd around him. And there's one light shining down on him. It was like a scene out of an Edward Hopper, right?
Yeah.
Isn't that Edward stuff? Like there's a light on the street. And he's with the pages open of the newspaper, and the crowd is standing around him looking up. They've just seen the play, and we're walking by, and no one notices us. And he's reading this rave review to the crowd, and they're just cheering. There must have been like 15 people, and they're just like, yay, yay, yay. And I guess that's the point. The play meant something to a lot of people. It meant something, and that's when you snag one of those, boy, you are lucky. You're just lucky.
Now, you won the Tony for God of Carnage, is that right? So what is that like when you get that call saying, hey, you've been nominated? Like, is that something you expected to happen? Were you like, this is the role that's going to get me something? Or was it just sort of like out of the blue? Like, how does that happen?
Well, like anything else, you hear little sniffs and things around, and you want it. So the day is coming. Like, it was different for the Oscars. I didn't know the day that the Oscars were announced. I didn't know how they were announced in the morning. I'm not saying I wasn't told. I probably was. It just didn't compute to me that they did on TV. But this was you knew it was coming. I didn't know how it was done, but I figured I'd get a call from an agent or something. And I was at the YMCA where my kids were going to school, and I was sitting at this table. And you're all nervous, and the cast is nervous, and also, like, any of us could have gotten nominated.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sure.
And then all of us got nominated.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Whoa.
We all got nominated, and that was like first I learned about me, and then I'm reading I don't think I was on a cell phone. I don't know that I even had a cell phone. I don't know how I was doing it. Maybe I had a cell phone.
Yeah.
And then I learned that, then Jeff too, James too, I hope too. Oh my God. It was amazing.
Yeah.
Wow.
It
So
was
then
really amazing.
you win that award, and now this is a weird question to have, but you've moved since you won the award from New York to Los Angeles. What do you do with the Tony? Like when you move, like do you just hold it with you? Like is that
On
something
the
you
flight?
check in
That's
your
a really
bag?
cool
You don't
question
mail
because-
it. What do you do with it?
That is a very
like
good
I
question.
wouldn't let that out of my sight if I won something important.
I know. It was in my house in Harlem for a long time. I lived up in Harlem, and I had my trophies and the kids' trophies on a shelf looking out a window. And it was up there, and then I divorced, and the ex packed us out, and everything got put in boxes in a basement, and in my country place in the Catskills. So everything's up there. Somehow I brought the Oscar out here. I don't know how. Maybe it was like, I'll show you. I have an Oscar. Fuck out. I don't know what. Maybe it was in it was in an easier box to get to. I don't know. But I've been looking for that Tony for 6 years. I've been looking and looking, and I've got this guy who works for me backstage, back east. We call him the Dude, and he works on my property, and he reminds you of the dude from Big Lebowski.
Sure,
right? That's
sure.
what we call him
Amazing,
that.
yeah.
His name is Scott, and we're like, Scott, is he any boxes marked trophies? He's like, I don't know. I'm looking down in the basement. I'm not seeing anything. And I'm like, I want that. So I just went back home for maybe a month ago. I went back home for something, and I went upstate, and I went down to the basement, and I hauled out the boxes, and I dug to the bottom of them until I found the Tony.
Oh my
Nice.
God!
And
Amazing.
I found it, and I brought it. I brought
Okay,
Tony.
so then
out.
when you brought it back, was that in your check on bags? Did you pack it? What did you do when you brought it out?
Yeah, you carry it.
You carry it through.
Yeah, you carry it.
you
through.
got it. Yeah,
Yeah.
of course.
Just like, have you seen my Tony? Have
Yeah,
you seen my friend Tony?
Pretty much.
I'd like to introduce my friend
Pretty
Tony.
much like, I don't want to be pretentious, but Tony's with me right now.
Do I need a
like
separate,
if I ever
separate
won,
seat for Tony on the plane?
Apparently.
like if I won a real award like that, I would get a chain, and I would
Carry it.
get it carried on the chain. I would just wear it on my neck everywhere.
Absolutely.
That's what I would do.
I know.
Or a glass.
Like I won a
glass
garbage
box I
award.
carry.
You
and I
did
would
not.
let-
What is the best award you've ever won?
I won the Shorty Award, which is like a thing they give for like tweeting.
Yes,
which is stupid.
I
I won
remember
for
that,
best
yeah.
comedian in social media in 2012, a long time ago. But like when I won that thing, I didn't let it out of my sight until I got back home. Like I was like, I'm carrying this everywhere. I'm not trusting it. It might break. I don't trust anyone else.
You
that's not
won
even
an
like a real
award
award.
for tweeting.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's pretty awesome.
No, it's the dumbest award ever.
But what did you do that was so awesome that you got you an award for tweeting?
I tweeted a lot of jokes, mostly about Justin Bieber, I think. in
Oh,
that
yeah.
year. It was
People loved it.
2012. That-
Oh yeah, that was a
That's-
good time.
yeah.
I won a local Emmy. How about that?
For what?
Well, sort of. I was in a documentary that won a local Emmy.
Okay.
But I
So you
didn't
didn't
get
get
to
the
keep.
trophy.
I didn't
So
get
you
to keep
haven't-
the Emmy. I probably could pay to get.
A replica.
So you're
replica.
awardless.
I'm an
amongst us
awardless
here.
person.
You're an awardless person.
No, I did. We did win the show. Yeah, I haven't won one personally. The show, the Kids' Choice Awards,
Yep.
in like
Yeah, the show won.
Argentina and a bunch of
Yeah.
other places. We won. Our show won awards, but I didn't personally win an
So,
award.
do you think they matter?
Do I think awards matter? I mean, I think they matter in some ways. I think they matter. Because I mean, I think they matter in some ways. I think they matter.
I would
Yeah.
say I think they matter in that they can give a really nice boost to people's careers who deserve it, and that there are things that would get overlooked otherwise, and I like the signal boost they get. I don't think the trophy itself is the important part of it, but I think that process and what it gives to someone is what's really important about it.
Yeah, because sometimes at the Oscars, like for example, like a movie will get nominated for an Oscar that
And it's
I've
just
never
as
seen
good.
it. I didn't
Right.
know the movie
Right.
had even existed, and then I'll go, oh, I better go watch and see why. Well, because like this year, I missed 3 Billboards. I did not see 3 Billboards.
Yeah.
I had seen everything else,
Right.
but I missed that one. And then then she won, and I was like, I'm going to go watch this movie.
Yeah.
And I sat down in my living room and watched it, and I was like, oh my God,
Yeah.
she is incredible in this
Amazing.
movie.
Yeah.
But
Sam
it's
Rockwell
like,
too. He's awesome.
oh, he was great too, and that was a great turn.
Yeah, my mom
with
saw
his
the movie. You know,
character.
she told
Yeah.
me. She's like, oh, I saw the 3 Billboards movie. She's like, opened up with the F word. I wasn't that interested.
Oh my God,
That's family. There you
That's
go.
so great.
There's a lot of cursing in that movie.
I do have one more Angels in America question for you before we move on. Okay, so I was last night. I was watching this. Like I went online and I looked up like Angels in America original Broadway cast footage, and what popped up was a gay and lesbian local access or like university TV show that would only air on like the university channels. Okay, from UCLA, and it's like a guy and a girl, and they're like, it's an interesting time to be gay in America, right? And I like watch them do this whole show, and they go, our first thing we're going to talk about is a show that's on Broadway that's been making big waves in the Broadway world, and it's called Angels in America by Tony Kushner, right? And they show footage of you, and they show footage of everyone, and then at the end they said, and the show is being turned into a movie by Robert Altman. And then they just moved on to something else. And I was like, Robert Altman didn't make Angels in America. Was there talk of that happening?
I think he was going to do Angels in America, and I think Mike Nichols did it then.
Yeah, Mike Nichols did it. Yeah, Mike Nichols did it.
Is that the one that was HBO?
For HBO, yeah.
Pacino?
Now, was there any talk of, like, do you feel like that's something that you would have wanted to do as a movie? Or is that something that you were...
Yeah. Are you kidding?
Like, yeah.
All of us wanted to do it. With Mike Nichols, are you kidding me? You just go, fuck. There are going to be star fucks. There are going to be star fucks. They're going to get big stars. We're not big enough to play this thing. And I guess there's some nervousness about an actor being overly theatrical, but truthfully in this day and age, come on, actors know to speak into a mic and to be truthful. That's it. All you got to do. Albert Finney said that to me in Miller's Crossing. He was like, darling, truth is truth. He's like, what should I do? It's my first movie. It's like, what should I do, Albert? What should I do? He's like, darling, truth is truth. Just be truthful. And obviously you don't need to be huge if the camera's right here, so that's your proscenium. But yeah, of course we wanted to do it.
What is that, like, as far as like stuff that you've wanted to do that you haven't done?
Everything Meryl Streep does. I worship that horrible woman. She's fucking phenomenal, and I hate her for it. Like, even just watching her in the post, I'm like, yeah, there you go. Yep, there she is working. Look how she works with props. Look how she embodies everything. Look how she doesn't clearly go to it. She just lives the role, and she uses space. She's an actor.
She's the greatest of all time, right?
She's the greatest actress. Yeah, there's no question.
She's the Babe Ruth of acting. I would
She
say.
really is.
That's insane.
And we live with that.
Yeah,
I
That's
know.
amazing.
Yeah, no, yeah, we do. We've got some interesting, incredible people living amongst us, including yourself. Including yourself, my
can
dear.
we talk? So your Broadway stuff. That's sort of like. Did you start doing films in Los Angeles while you were still doing that, like during your breaks, or did you sort of say, okay, Broadway's done, I'm going to go to LA and be a movie star?
No, I did. It's a really traditional trajectory. I was living in New York. I went back. I was doing waiting tables work. Oh my God, that's not even English. I was doing waiting table. Like, English is my first language.
I was doing waiting tables.
Work. You don't even know it. I was waiting tables and all of that, and I kept feeling like I wasn't getting into auditions, even though I had agents at the time. And I thought, there is something about me that's just not competitive. I need to learn something these other actors know. So I went back to grad school with Zelda Chandler, who ran NYU Tisch School of the Arts, gave me a full scholarship to go back there. So I went there, 3-year program, and while I was there on my last year, I got to audition for Milos Forman for Valmont.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, it was between me and Annette Bening.
Wow.
And so people were like, who is this upstart? Annette, of course, got it. And I totally see what he was.
But it gets you in the room in the conversation.
It gets you in the room, right? That's what I tell my kids or anybody who wants to go go into acting, getting the audition, being in the room, doing well in the room, impressing the casting director. That's number one. And that got it, but that maybe made other people go, who is this upstart? And at some point, the Coen brothers were casting Miller's Crossing, and I had just graduated, and I was, of all things, going down to Virginia Stage Company to do the play, Valmont, and I was doing the play as playing Torval, and I was traveling back and forth to New York to audition for the Coen brothers, whom I worshipped then, and I worship now.
Fantastic.
I love them, I ended up getting it. That was my first role, was to be in one of their movies.
Unbelievable.
And so for a long time I was in New York doing theater and film, and it was fantastic. I did used people out of New York. I didn't move out to LA to stay out here until after my divorce. So it's more recent. I'm more recent out here.
Well, yeah, after doing those films and you doing Used People and doing Miller's Crossing, there's a bunch of stuff, but here's an interesting one. First Wives Club. You got Goldie Hawn, you got Bette Midler, Diane Keaton. Who did you work with the most?
I worked with Diane the most. All my scenes were with Diane, and I remember Diane walked around with earphones in her ear all the time, which made it a little hard to talk to her, but she was notoriously shy. And I think it was the way she was getting into the character. She was listening to music. But I wouldn't say I knew her really well. Now when I see her, it's, it's like party people. Oh,
right,
hey,
yeah.
hi, Diane. Oh, my God. How you been? Good. And then I hate parties. I really do. I hate them for that very thing. And I hate bars. I hate noisy bars because you're like, hi, haven't seen you in a long time. They're like, yeah, my mother died. I'm like, what? My mother died. Oh, I'm so sorry. Hold on 1 second. Hi. Yeah, I'll be right with you. So what did your mother die? Oh, that's horrible. So, was it a good funeral? I said I'll be right there. Yeah. It's absolutely.
Oh my God.
I hate them. I can't. Give me a dinner party any day.
Can we give Marcia a podcast award for
is there a
that?
podcast award for that?
Are you
Yes.
kidding me? That was amazing.
It's horrible, right?
That's every single Hollywood party I've ever been to. It's just that's what it is.
It's a madhouse.
Yeah.
It's loud.
Yeah.
And I'm not good at it. And I want to go out and mix and mingle. I want to go meet people and stay in. But I like activity, so I like it if there's a party with a purpose. So Cameron Manheim is one of my best friends in the world.
One of the most. I love her.
Cameron has game parties where you come over and you play games.
What?
Poker or running charades or whatever. And I love them. Or I like going to a party where people are dancing. Do you know that in the clubs, because I don't go to clubs anymore. I don't go to clubs. But in the clubs, they say there's no dance floor anymore.
Really?
Yeah.
There's no, clearly you're not going to clubs either.
It's not my scene.
And Glickman's like, yeah. So what?
Yeah,
I've been there.
It's just a bunch of people standing around staring at each other.
Yeah.
It's
like
very
drinking
uncomfortable.
At their tables, right?
Yeah, it's different in places like Costa Rica where everyone's just, standing on the tables.
Okay.
Well, everything's different in Costa Rica.
Yeah.
Right.
But here
Are the toilets different in Costa Rica?
They are. They are. But yeah, the parties are.
And now it's put an expensive bottle of something on the table.
Everyone's got bottle service and
here's a bottle of alcohol you could buy for $40 at the store. We're going to charge you $400 for.
100%. Oh, easily.
I can't. But where's the dance floor? It's not there. So you kind of dance around the table drinking this,
that
thing on the table.
sounds so not fun.
I can't.
Yeah.
No.
I like to move.
Not an enjoyable time.
Yeah.
Not an enjoyable time. But you know what is an enjoyable time? Or must have been an enjoyable time? Flubber. With
Robin
Williams. That's the loudest set I've ever been on in my life. By the
How
way.
so? How so?
Well, Robin's just funny. He just got he's on and he wants you to laugh, and he comes in and he's making a joke and everyone's laughing and we're flying around on they strap you into something and we're flying around, and because you'd flubber you would fly. He just made you laugh. He was actually very shy, him, Jim Carrey, I mean, all these really great physical comedians, that there's just a shyness, and they're more comfortable being on and making you laugh and getting that energy than just kind of being in the room in conversation. So Robin was amazing. It was one of my first comedy films, and it was a Disney film. And I remember I'd gotten pregnant on the film. I had just gotten married, and I got pregnant like right away. And I remember was one point during the film when I had on a bra, a shirt, and a coat, and you could see my nipples through it, right? because they were like steel. Because I was like 4 months, and I had like these steel nipples, and I would remember that.
Some of our listeners, if you watch Flubber frame by frame, you can see Marcia's nipples.
Well, they would be like, "You need to put Band-Aids on those." And I think, "Well, what? Oh, on those? Okay." Because Disney characters don't have nipples, but
Of course.
Oh God, it was fun. That was fun.
Yeah.
You're such a funny actress. When I met you, you were doing Trophy Wife.
I love Trophy Wife.
You were so funny on that show,
I love
and it was
that.
such a great comedy. And how do you feel about comedy? I mean, as far as I feel like all great drama has some comedy in it. I mean, Angels has lots of funny moments,
Yeah.
and
God has funny.
lots of funny stuff in there.
Yeah.
How do you feel about just doing something that's like straight up comedy?
I
and
freaking
funny?
love it. I don't get to do it so much because I apparently have a resting bitch face. So ask my kids; they'll tell you. And it's not resting either; it's active all the time. I love it with a passion. It's the best, making people laugh. With whatever's the best, and I don't get to do it as much as I want to. I love Trophy Wife. There's nothing more fun than playing Grand, and Diane was Grand, and she knew it all, and so then you have all that potential for hubris that is, when the Grand person falls on their face and then covers it, that's funny.
Very funny.
Yeah, I love
for
that.
Sure.
I never can figure out why things don't get picked up and why things do. To me, that show had all the makings for success.
Yeah.
Trophy Wife did.
But so much of it is, what's the lead in, what's after it, what night of the week is it on, all that kind of stuff that you have no control over.
Yeah, and what do they have in their back
What's in the
room?
pipeline?
Yeah,
waiting. Who
right.
owns the show versus
Right.
who's airing the show, all
Right.
that kind of stuff. Because I for some reason I'm fascinated by the shows that get picked up and don't get picked up, and there's like a website that sort of has all their predictions on what's getting picked up and all that stuff, and they use this phrase called the cancel bear, where they're like, you don't have to be the fastest one, you just have to outrun the bear. You just have to be not the last one
Right.
on the list, because that's the one that gets eaten up by the bear, and then
Right.
something else is going to replace
Right.
it. So it's so many things that they're like, but when they come up with the rankings, they're like, it's not just about the numbers, or whether a show's good or not has nothing to do with it. It's just about,
And how much does it cost to make?
how much does it cost to make, what night of the week is it on, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, and also that was ABC, right?
Yeah.
And ABC at the time was launching. It was at the same time that they were launching Goldbergs, I think.
Yeah, the
Probably around
Goldbergs
that
was
time,
launched.
And then kind of pretty soon after that, they changed kind of their format of the shows that they were doing, and it went from a bunch of different types of comedies to them mostly having like the exact
It was all Shonda Rhimes every night.
No. Yeah, Shonda Rhimes when it comes to drama, but when it comes to comedy, it was Blackish, Fresh Off the Boat, Goldbergs, and then there's another one now too that they kind of found something that they were like, this is going to work for us. We're
This is what we're going to do.
And we're going to do this again and again and again, which is fine. That's how
All
that
family,
works for them.
yeah.
All family, different types of families.
Was there
That's what
a
we're gonna
leadership
do.
change at ABC while that was happening too? Because that happens a lot where
Paul
like
Lee was there at the time,
Okay.
and I think he's not there now.
yeah, because I think it's what happens a lot is like somebody changes and they're like, all right, get rid of all these
Get rid
shows
of all
that
their
aren't mine. I'm going
stuff.
to bring in
Right,
all my
bring
stuff,
all my stuff.
regardless of what it is.
I love Blackish though. I think that's
I love
such a good show.
I love ABC. I'm a huge nerd when it comes to that kind of stuff. And I mean, when it comes to comedy, I mean, for God's sakes, you did Spy Hard. Like you've done a
But you
lot
don't
of.
think of me for comedy, right?
Well, when I think of you, the role that I think of you for when I think of you is always Newsroom, because that's one of very few shows that me and my girlfriend would sit down on the couch together, and every week at that time we would watch that show. It was that show, Boardwalk Empire, and the TV show The Client List, which was about an Asia a massage parlor with Jennifer
Love Hewitt.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know why that show got into the rotation, but it did.
It did.
But we would watch.
Then you would have massages at the end.
Yes, it would go. Now can we have a massage? But it was Newsroom became like the show from episode 1 to the last episode that we would always sit down and watch. And I wouldn't watch it without her. She wouldn't watch it without me. And your role on that show was so incredible, and you were so badass. Like you're just such a badass on camera. Like you just kill.
Yeah.
And it was you like when I saw you at the thing when we met at the premiere, I was like, oh my God, I'm so nervous to talk to you, but I had to talk to you because I was like, she's
I loved
so cool.
her. I loved her, and she was badass. Jeff Daniels said to me that morning, because we'd worked now together in God of Carnage. He goes, "You want to know the Aaron secret?" I said, "Yes, please." He said, "Show up prepared. Know your lines." Even for the rehearsal, I was like, okay. Because every other time you're on set, you have your sides, for people who don't know their actors' lines, and you have them on set, your sides, and so you read off of them, and you kind of go back to the trailer and memorize. And really being prepared on a television show is not at all like what it is, in theater. Sometimes, sometimes I think when you're good, you are prepared, and you think about it, and you work on it the night before and all that stuff.
But also on TV, like the lines change every day.
They change every day. Yeah. It's fish paper on some level. And, how many ways can you say, what are the forensics on that particular, right.
Oh,
right. But you have to say it because that's the show you're doing. So in this case, Aaron, Jeff said, know the lines. And I had a monologue. My opening scene was a monologue. So that morning we came into rehearsal, and there was Aaron, and we rehearsed the scene, and I knew all my lines, and I just looked across the table at the end of the scene at Jeff, and he kind of did one of those, what do you call that? Like victory little tugs, and really quietly,
fist pump.
Yep, fist pump, and then later Aaron said, "That's great, that's great." So no notes, and that was good, and then Aaron kind of wrote for that character a little bit. He'd already written for her. He loved it. But I did notice, and this is so hysterical about Aaron, because he's such kind of like he's smart, sexy, prolific. He's all these things. But Aaron gets bored easily. And so he writes these great characters, and then he'll let him go. And I noticed what he gave me was he kept giving me like this sexier clothing and like a lower cleavage. And at some point, liquid sex. Do you remember that? My character had the line,
"Oh yeah,
I am liquid sex." And he gave me that. That's a gift. But I thought as my cleavage got lower, I became less of a badass. I kind of like, Aaron, let me have low cleavage and be a badass. Let me do it all. But I think he's just an incredible writer. And he gets a lot of shit from a lot of people if he doesn't espouse the particular political theory and the way that all the different newspapers think. He just gets a lot of shit. And I personally think he's smart. And you know what? I think he cares. That's the thing. If he didn't care, if you're just doing it to gloss over things.
He's not doing it just to cash in.
He's not. Yeah, he cares.
Yeah.
Now, the role of yours that I jump to is always Pollock, because I love that film. Oh, yeah. And, I think there's 2 great movies about Jackson Pollock, and you're the star of one of them. And the other one is a documentary called Who the Fuck is Jackson Pollock that everyone should watch if you haven't seen it.
I love that. Yeah.
But that movie, was that sort of... was that a career changer in a way? I mean, you get the Oscar for that movie, of course, and I'm sure that obviously helps your career in many ways. But when you go into a film like that, do you know, this is something I can really sink my teeth into? This is going to be a great role? Or?
Yeah, you can sink your teeth into it, but you don't know if it's going to be successful or not. You just know it's an indie film that they're making on a dime, and that Ed Harris and I had worked together in something called Simpatico, a Sam Shepard play. And it was like it was like Ed, me, Fred Ward, James McLaughlin, was that his name? And like these men and Sam.
Yeah.
I just remember crossing the street with all of them in New York, crossing the public theater. It was like slow-mo.
Yeah.
They were like, ka-chunga bunga.
It's like that scene in Reservoir Dogs where they're walking.
Right? Just crossing the seat with their manly stuff strutting out in front of them. And like there was me, like my hair blowing in the breeze,
Oh my God.
feeling like the girl.
Yeah.
Ed and I worked together, and Ed is a taciturn son of a bitch, and I love this guy. He's as funny as hell. You wouldn't know it. He's funny. He's taciturn. He's quiet. He's shy. And so I was like Ed's little sister. That's pretty much how I always see myself, as Ed's little sister in Simpatico. So when he opened it up to me, I think it was me, and I was thinking Judy Davis, and I thought, oh, Judy's going to get it because she's pretty like that. Judy's a much more sort of fierce, strict, severe person. I'm like a little marshmallow at times. I wear my emotions on my sleeves. And if I'm happy, you know it. And if I'm sad, you know it.
Right.
If I'm mad, you know it.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
But he opened up the audition process, and I met him again. Hey, Marcia, but then I had to go out to his house to audition. And so now I'd done like my homework really, and I was really looking at the accent, the Queens accent or Brooklyn accent, and trying to Lee Krasner. And so I went out there, sort of in out in my costume and like trying to convince him. I was talking to him. He opens the door. I'm like, hi, Ed, how are you? He knows who I am, of course. And so, come on in. And hey, Amy, Marcia's here. I'm like, hi, how are you? I'm walking around. We're doing a scene. He goes, what are you doing? And I'm like, I'm Ed. I'm in character. I'm doing the accent. And he goes, well, you need to stop whatever you're doing right now because people have to listen to this shit for 2 hours and they can't listen to that. Oh, Jackson. So I had to find this way to bring it like into something that you could listen to.
To bring that energy without bringing that voice.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. To bring it. And
well, you did.
Yeah. And that was all. Ed was a great director. He was really a great director because he really pushed you.
Was that his first film directing it?
Yes, and he's acting in it and directing it. And
that's
it's on
so
a
hard
budget,
to do.
and he was amazing. Like I remember this one scene, the you need scene. We'd filmed it, and the light. We were filming all Ed's side on that day, and there were planes and shit and chat and things going on, and then we were losing the light, and we kept filming Ed's side, but we didn't get to me. And it's definitely one of those scenes that you want to turn around the same day. And Ed was like, Marsh, sorry, we don't have time to turn around. I'm like, no problem, Ed. Whenever, I'll be there. Because Ellen Burstyn had taught me that. She'd said, you have to be there 100% for me, even when you're off camera.
Yeah.
So I'd been there 100% for Ed. But I had said to Ellen, well, what if when it turns around, I don't have it in me anymore? And she goes, then I'm there for you. And I'm like, okay. So I'd learned my lesson with Ellen. And so for Ed, I was like, he's going to do it. So that next day, we had to go to some other location. We were tied into location. So we didn't come back to the you need scene until 2 days later. So we're shooting. And Ed just keeps saying, just say it. Just say the line. And I said, I am saying it, Ed. I am just saying it. I am not going to bring another baby into that. You need. And then he would stop. He'd go, just say it. And he's yelling at me sometimes. Just say it. And then at some point, he's behind the camera or sitting by the camera. And I say, and you need or whatever. And he picks up his chair and he starts slamming it on the ground. Just say it. Just say it. Just say the fucking line. And he breaks the chair. And I'm shaking now. And I say, I am not going to bring another baby into that. And like, of course, of course he did it for me. It was a gift. They didn't use that take, but they used the one after that still had that
same nervous energy.
And the same nervous energy, and then the same, you need, choking, whatever. But it was Ed helping me do that. And I know the prop girls were like, do you want us to call the union on him? And I was like, no. I get how it's scary, but I trust him so implicitly that he did it for me. He did it to shake me up. And if you're open to it, then there's surprises always that you can use, which are just fantastic.
And that's why your friend Tony has a friend named Oscar.
Yeah,
that's why.
There you go.
Right there,
yeah.
You have to be open to it, though. Sometimes people I've worked with a lot of people that this happens. They are saying their line, and the director calls cut, and they start to cry. And you think, you don't hold on to the emotion. You got to bring it in there and let it start to play, let it start to bubble. And they're trying to control it. So they go through a scene and they're angry, and the director says, cut, and here come the tears. And you just want there to be a moment in the middle of it that they said cut but not really, and they get there and then you keep going, right? So sometimes you do need exterior things. Sometimes I remember once someone said, do you want me to shake you? Because the scene had to start with me, not Pollock, but something else, had to start with me being discombobulated. And they're like, do you want me to shake you? And I was like, yeah, go ahead, let's try that. And sure enough, then woo, shake and then action, and it was really helpful.
Wow.
Albert Finney, he taught me that because I was watching him when I was doing Miller's Crossing, and he was at that's me making noise, right? You're looking
No,
at me.
checking the time.
That's
fine.
Yeah. We could do like 10 minutes. And
Sure.
Then probably have to. So Finney and I are doing Miller's Crossing, and it's my first film ever. And I had Trey Wilson, God rest his soul, had died of a brain aneurysm, and he was supposed to play Finney's role. So I called my dad, military officer, and I was like, Dad, I'm doing this, I'm still doing Miller's Crossing, but Trey died. Now this man named Albert Finney is going to be playing the role. My dad was like, God damn Albert Finney. That's a goddamn fine actor, Marcia Gay. Goddamn Albert Finney. Oh, Albert Finney. That goddamn oyster scene in Tom Jones. Oh, Albert Finney, a fine actor. On Albert
Jesus.
Right? So I go down to New Orleans to shoot it. And Albert and I meet and shake hands, and he's the biggest flirt you've ever met in your life. And hello, darling. I'm like, hello, Albert. And then we get in the elevator, and we're going up to our respective floors. And I said, excuse me, Mr. Finney? And he goes, yes, darling. And I said, well, you know that movie Tom Jones? And he goes, yes, darling. And I said, well, was that about Tom Jones, the singer? And he goes, darling, have you never read a book in your life? Because, of course, it's that great classic book. I'm like, no freaking idea. And he starts doing pelvic thrust at me in the elevator, singing, it's not unusual, like just flirting with me up one side. And we became super great friends the whole time. So then I'd go occasionally to set and I'd watch, because I think, MGH, this is a big movie and you need to go learn. And so I'd go to set and I'd watch them, and I'd watched Albert Finney. He was doing this scene where he has to, he's standing at the top of these stairs, and he's punching Gabriel Byrne down the stairs, and he's kind of like hitting himself in his chest and punching out in the air, and getting to the point where he's got his breath coming like that. Because when they say action, he needs to be picking up coming down the stairs. I was watching him and thinking, how embarrassing. What is he doing up there? And he's like making a fool of himself up there. Because I'd never done it. I didn't know about the moment before. I mean, I did, but not really. And so I'm watching him thinking, that's so embarrassing. At least he could be in a private room. And then, of course, they go action. And he's just bang, right, searingly perfect in the moment, coming down the stairs with his breath huffing. And it was all that he had just created a little moment before. And I talked to him about it, and he says, darling, you must be private in public. That's the whole thing. You must be private in public. And I took that to heart, but I also took myself so seriously that the other great person on that film, aside from Gabriel Byrne, who just did gorgeous work, was Johnny Polito, who's passed last year. And Johnny Polito would just poke fun at himself. So he would go and he would do a scene, Casper, we got to talk ethics. And he would do Casper, and then I would watch him. When he was done with it, he would go, okay, that sucked. Can I go again, please? That sucked. And I'd never imagined that you could just be that blatant about laughing at your work, or like going, was it a bit much? Like you're really doing something. Even if it was emotionally full, you can go, okay, was it a bit much? A little over the top? Okay, good. Like to be able to look at yourself and be a candid critic of yourself. It was such a wonderful gift to watch Polito do that.
Amazing. Wow. I love it. I know we have to wrap up very shortly. I want to talk about your book, The Seasons of My Mother, which you are, it's a memoir of love, family, and flowers.
Yeah.
Tell me about the book.
Well, it's really a story about the adventures of me and my mom growing up. As I grew up, my parents and my mother, our adventures in life. We moved to Japan, mom in Germany. It's memories. My mom now eventually talks about her Alzheimer's. She has Alzheimer's. So when I first started writing it, I thought I do not want her legacy to be Alzheimer's, so I'm going to remember with her and for her. Mom was a Japanese flower arranger, so she learned when we lived in Japan the art of Japanese flower arranging, which, like any great art, it's using an asymmetrical triangle, and you use two branches that are like branches, so it's called lines. One is taller than the other, and then the third piece in the triangle is a beautiful flower. So you could easily imagine, take a beautiful, and you measure them in proportion to the vase. And in the bottom of the vase is something called a kenzan, which you stick it and you arrange it. So you can imagine like a beautiful arm of pine, and then another slightly smaller arm of pine in a flower arrangement, and then a big, beautiful peony, red peony in the middle, right? Now, that would be a classic, this little triangle. Anyway, so Mom did these flower arrangings growing up, and the lines are called Shin, Soi, and Hikai, which means heaven, earth, and man. And so I sort of weaved the story of Mom and her love of flowers and her love of arranging and the gifts that she brought to the home with those, with our memories and our adventures. So I talk about May Day. It's the first chapter of my mother's first love of flowers and May Day and what we would do as kids for May Day. And then we go to Japan and I talk about that. And I talk at some point about the Oscars. I talk about how my mother helped me get my start. They're all in there. And then I ultimately, because you know from the beginning that she has Alzheimer's, it's like a sort of discordant chord underneath it. And you see this beautiful mind, which is my mom and her creativity, and you know that it's going to disappear. And that's what happens. That she's not disappeared, but her abilities and her ability to remember, her ability to do ikebana, those things slowly disintegrate. There is nothing good about Alzheimer's. It's not one of those diseases that you can go, on the bright side, as other things you kind of can say that, especially diseases that are curable. There's nothing good about it. And I cannot wait to find the cure. But in the meantime, we're learning everything we can. And I just have to say, from everything I'm learning, apparently the demon is sugar and a lack of exercise. Like those two things that are just so, how many times does someone go, diet and exercise? And you're just going to go, shut up. It's got to be more than that. But a lot of the things the doctors talk about is that I don't really talk about the resources in Alzheimer's and what you can do and what you can't do. A friend of mine named Kimberly Williams Paisley wrote a book called Where the Light Gets In, and she talks about her mother's disintegration into dementia. And she has amazing resources in the back of it. Mine is really more sort of like lyrical. It's just sort of storytelling. And I think at the end of the day, I would say it's a book about loss, and it's a book about repurposing loss and pain. Like you can sit around and be sad about these things that happen, and there's plenty of sadness where Alzheimer's is concerned, or the other losses. My brother lost his children in a fire. My mom has Alzheimer's. I ended up divorced. These are all things where you think, I'm not a statistic. These things happen to other people, and not me. And then in my life, these things have happened to me. My life didn't turn out the way I pictured it was going to turn out. And what are you going to do? And I feel like you just have to use strength and compassion and sort of repurpose your pain into something positive. And that's what the book became for me, this really positive experience. And it's been received super well. It comes out May 1. It's a genius. I say it's a genius Mother's Day gift for those of you who want to buy one.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I will definitely get this for my mom.
Oh,
for
awesome.
Sure, of course.
Yeah.
That's incredible. I'm so, we get to interview a lot of people on our show and talk to them about their lives and things like this. But this has been just
fantastic.
Extraordinary.
Oh, thank you.
And there's so much more that I want to talk to you about.
I know.
But
another time.
Yeah.
Well, you know what's cool, I'll tell you, is that when I listen to your podcast, I learn about people that I don't necessarily know much about. I know of them, but then you learn about them.
Which one did you listen to?
Listening to the one about Landis. Right?
Oh, Max Landis. Oh, yeah, for sure.
So I thought you would say that was one of your all-time best podcasts ever.
Love Max Landis.
Because he's like you, right? He has you guys have all the same kind of references. So you're really smart sort of film people. When I first was listening to it, I thought, I mean, I know of Max Landis and I know his work, but I was like, I don't know that I like this young man. I'm just not quite sure. You know, he's just a bit arrogant, really, Max Landis. It's just a bit. And then I kind of, all of those things about him, I literally fell in love with. That I was like, I want to work with this guy.
He's such a
so outside the box. He's so clear. He's that one who says, "Oh, there are rules." He's that one that climbs on Marilyn Henry's plane. Like, why not? Why not?
Yeah, you know, he told a story on that show that blew my mind. Was that he got on a plane and sat down on a plane and was
started
like
writing a movie.
flight, and he was like, I'm going to write the first scene of this movie. Yeah. And by the time he had landed, he had sold the film for $2 million.
Come on.
Yeah. The movie was already sold. It's a Netflix movie.
It's like the one with Bradley Cooper that he's got that's being made. Cooper. I don't know.
Yeah, but he sold it on the plane. Like he sent it, and it was bought before he landed. Like he wrote an entire movie on a fucking plane.
That's sort of wrong. It's not fair.
It's not where you're like, I just can't believe how talented some people. Like, so, yeah, we've had there's been some.
But
really
he has that. And he's
ones.
like uber opinionated, right?
Yes.
Like
Which I love.
Which I love.
I love people that have strong opinions about things. Even if I disagree with their opinions, I like that they care.
Yeah, me too. Yeah. He's and there's nothing soft about him. And then I looked at his face and I thought, the same. There's nothing soft. He's angular and spiky and he's like cactus. And I just really, like that, I wouldn't have known all those things. And I thought,
we will tell him that you want to work with him.
Yeah, I thought
he's got stuff on the air all the time. So
I thought he's really, really phenomenal.
One of my favorite episodes that we've ever recorded is the Joey Fatone episode from NSYNC. Because
we made Robbie say terrible things.
Well, no. Aside from that, he told the most in-depth version of the story of his manager that took all their money and screwed them over horribly.
Yeah.
But he told that story in the most specific way. I've never heard someone. I've heard the story from other people,
right?
But hearing from him that his manager, the guy who died in prison, that guy had every contract that NSYNC got. This manager made himself the sixth member of the band in every single contract. So if they were to get let's say they were all to get bicycles he'd get one too.
Yeah.
And then he got tired of the lawyer taking a percentage. So he fired the attorney without them knowing and took the attorney's percentage and negotiated all of their deals without
which he's not allowed to do
completely, which is why he went to prison and then he died.
Yeah. How did he die?
I think he just died. I think he died of a heart attack in prison. Yeah. But yeah, it was brutal though. Like,
wow.
Yeah, there's been a couple. I mean, in Brian Henson, we interviewed him, and Brian.
I loved going to Ed Asner's house.
Oh, that was
my
so
God!
insane.
Threatened us with a knife. That was the first thing he did.
Threatened us with a knife. He goes, "You better have good questions."
Yeah.
And pulled out a knife on us. Oh. That was.
And then he's got so many words. He's got like Emmys as like a doorstop at a paper. They're like all over the place there, and it's just like, I got these things, and it's like nothing to him, and we're like, that's amazing. So.
And were you talking about his book, The Grouchy Historian, or something?
He was doing
a tour. He was doing a one-man show.
Okay,
it was like about a man and his prostate was the concept of it. And I was thinking, like, he had like hobbled across the room to sit down. I was like, how does he do an hour and a half one-man show? But he's amazing. Like, he can just get it together and be on stage. And terrific guy.
Yeah, it was very. And he said the thing that I always thought was so beautiful, which is that if you're the star of a show, you better shine up the spokes around. Or if you're the star of a show, you're like the center of the wheel. Yeah. And then you better shine up the spokes around you, because everyone that works with you, if you make them look good, they're going to make you look good.
Because he talked about the difference between Mary Tyler Moore, where she had that role, and he's like, I was on the show and I did the thing, and then I get the show, Ed Grant,
right?
And all of a sudden, or Lou Grant, and all of a sudden he was that center, and he was like, he had a newfound respect for Mary Tyler Moore. He's like, she's really good,
Right.
that he didn't even realize how good she was until after he had to do that.
Right.
Yeah.
It's so funny. I was just having a conversation this morning with my kid's father, and we were talking about positive reinforcement and how it's so much more helpful than negative. I mean, think about it. The people in life who would say to you, oh, you're good at that, or oh, you can do that, or nice, whatever someone says you're good at, you're like, really? Maybe I can do that. And when someone says no, or when someone tries to make themselves taller by making you smaller, or the people around them smaller, it's just a really, really reductive, it's a completely reductive atmosphere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Well,
That's
you've
why I
got-
laugh at every joke Steven tells. That's not even close to being true, by the way. That's a lie.
You have a book tour. When does the book tour start?
I start May 1. I go to New York, D.C.
You doing the Barnes and Nobles? Where are you going?
In New York, I do the Hudson Guild, I do the
Nice.
Strand, and I do this AOL project. Then I go to D.C., and I go to Texas and Cincinnati, Seattle, and San Francisco, all in like
Terrific.
one day. Yeah. Now I'm going to feel like I need to write a script that I try to sell on the plane.
Right, exactly.
Get
Are you
working.
going to do
Right.
one in Los Angeles? or
Yeah,
no?
and then LA. Yes.
Where are you going to do it here?
Barnes and Noble at the Grove. We do it
Wonderful.
here.
Great.
Yeah.
We will be there. We'll
Yeah.
come see
We'll
you.
go.
Yeah. Awesome.
Of course. Do you have any sort of social media? Do you use any?
Yeah, I do.
you have something?
MGH_8 is my Instagram and my Twitter, and I've got the website
course.
marciagayharden.com. Yeah.
Wonderful. You're such an angel, and I
Thank you.
love you
And
and
she's in
adore
America.
you.
She's an
Thank
angel
you.
You're the
in
best.
America.
Yes.
I feel like this was like the spa podcast, right?
It really is.
There's
Oh,
no-
yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. I love you guys.
You're
Thank
the
you.
best.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks.
Oh,